my channel, Monkey Wrench. I'm Kelly, the monkey with the wrench. Today is going to be a different kind of video, so stay tuned. I just want to say real quick that there'll be a link in the description and also a pinned comment from me. I am in the process of buying a new bike. I've had this bike now for 2.5 years. I've put over 25,000 miles on it, and it's getting tired, and I'm starting to have a few issues with it, which I'll explain in this video. So if you would like to help support me, I have a fundraiser going. That's what the link is in the description and in the pinned comments. Click that link and give as little as $1. I'd sure appreciate it. It's time to buy a new e-bike. So having said that, I have gotten a lot of comments, emails lately, questions about my bike. Normally on this channel we fix lawnmowers and chainsaws and zero turns and boats and whatnot. The boat videos are coming. I've spent the last few weeks doing hurricane cleanup, putting up stockade fence, things like that people needed, and I've been away from the shop, so I will be catching up on the videos. But I've been asked a lot about my e-bike, and for those of you that have seen my channel before, you will know that I used to drive this bike, and yes, it's upside down. I welded together a rack for the back, and I have a trailer that I have over here that I can pull with it, blah blah blah. Well, I started having issues. I actually shredded a rim. The rim got so old, and as the brake pads were squeezing on it for 25,000 miles, it wore out the rims until finally one exploded underneath of me, and you know, that wasn't fun. I ended up having to walk the bike home about 6 miles, and I've had a few other issues, as you can see, after 2.5 years and 25,000 miles. That's the bag that held the battery, and you know, it's just disintegrated, and brake issues and a few other things. Now the frame itself is still good, and that's why it's still sitting there. But what I ended up having to do, I bought this bike over a year ago. It's the same brand. It's a Diamondback. It's the same actual bike, honestly, only that's a male bike with the bar that goes across under your nutsack, and this was what they call a step through, or what we used to call when we were kids a girl's bike. I don't subscribe to that boy bike, girl bike crap anymore. Basically, they started making these a whole lot stronger. This center upright here is about twice as big around as the uprights on the male bikes, and because of that, and because of the extra cross piece down there, it makes this bike just as strong as that bike. And like I said, 25,000 miles on that bike, and I know because these bikes have odometers. Most of you don't have cars with 25,000 miles on them. So I bought this bike because I was tired of having to lift my leg and go over that bar, and it literally was holding my nuts up every time I had to come to a stop and get off of it. And I'm getting older, and it was a pain in the butt, and I have a bad hip. So I've been wanting to switch over. What I wanted to do was build a second bike. And again, the rim that busted on me last week is sitting here, and it's down to nothing. And I literally just kept this for the axle, but there's nothing left. It just exploded. That's the front rim. And about a month ago, maybe 5 weeks ago, the rear rim with the motor on it did the same exact thing. It just exploded and shredded. This motor is still good, and I had bought a second motor originally, and it's been hanging on the wall for 2 years because I wanted two bikes. If one goes down for any reason, I can't be without transportation. Even though I have a truck, and I also have a van, and I have a motorcycle, I don't drive them. I drive electric. period. Wouldn't have it any other way, never will again. So I originally bought this bike to set up as my second bike, my backup bike, in case this one got stolen, in case things broke down. Well, it got to the point now where things broke down. And when that first motor, with 23,000 miles on it, 24,000 miles, I think, when that rim shredded, that wrecked the tire. And of course, the motor's still good, but now I have to take the one that's hanging up in there, and I have to take the spokes off of it, and I have to put a new rim on it, so I have a backup motor. And it's got 24,000 miles on it, so it literally would be a backup motor. So this is the second one that I bought 2.5 years ago, and I'm using it. So I have a brand new motor on this bike, along with all the stuff that goes with it. Your odometer's up here. 25. Let's see, I don't know if you can see that. If I can get in there. It's currently got 2,595 miles on it. 2,595 miles is what I put on this bike in the last 5 weeks. So that's my speedometer, my odometer. Tells me my battery capacity and all, and runs the bike. So this bike was used. I bought it used for like $100. But I wanted a step through. I wanted to be able to get on and off of it easily. And I wanted to build a proper rack for it, the same as I built on this one, welded all together and welded to the frame so it was strong enough that a person could sit in there if they needed to, because I use my bikes for work. But instead, I used an old rear rack that I had that just connects here to your seat post. And yesterday I added this upright support to it to stop it from twisting and to stop it from bouncing, because I keep my battery in the back as well as my control unit, which has to be out so air can flow through it. It's a heat sink. I don't like keeping my battery like this, but obviously with no bar across there, I can't hang it up in the center of the bike anymore, and I didn't want that. So I'm designing a new rack like that that's going to house the battery, not be in the way of cargo, and I'm not going to have a milk crate on the back of it. But again, this will be my work bike. Now I've also put lights on this bike. The wheels have lights, the base has lights. That's what all this blue tubing is. This is just lights because we're a couple days from Halloween, and I will be out riding on Halloween. I built these monkey bars. They are 13.5 inches tall. I used an old kid's bike and cut the handles off of it, and added the uprights to it, welded them together, and made my own handlebars. There's a second set right there. You can see the white bit is the part that came off the kid's bike, and then I added the uprights to it to make that 13.5 inches as well. 13 is my favorite number, if you didn't know that. So I do everything 13. But anyway, so parts of this bike are new, parts of this bike are used. The front rim on this bike is the only thing that I had left. It is a used rim, and it needs to be replaced and will be replaced. That's the tire that was on the rim that broke the other day. It seems to be holding air, but it has issues. And I use Schwalbe brand tires here, the Schwalbe Mountain Bike Plus, and they are $60 a piece. You can't get flats. They have Kevlar lining, and they will go for, my last set lasted me 18 months or something. So for $60, they're well worth the tires, and I don't get flats. But this tire and rim, this is just a crappy mountain bike tire. It'll only last a couple of months, and it's already been a month and a half. It needs to be replaced. I'm about to order a new tire, the same Schwalbe, for the front, as well as I'm looking for a new rim as quickly as possible before that one blows on me as well, because it's, you know, that rim's got 25,000 miles on it, 26,000 miles. But if you were wondering what a bike like this cost, you know, they have regular old handlebars on them. This is a bike that I got out of the garbage the other day that's being sold. They have regular handlebars on them. Like I said, I build those handlebars myself. So they didn't cost me anything to put the high-rise handlebars on. I need to finish them and paint them. The bike itself used was $100. The rims would be fine for a couple of years, except that they've already got a couple years on them. So that one needs to be replaced. Now this one, the rim comes with the motor. So that rim is good to go for another 2 years, as well as the motor's brand new and the tire is the good expensive tire. So I don't have any issues with the back ass. The front's got to be redone. So if you figure you can buy a bike like this for about $100, maybe $150 in your area, I'm going to go with what I paid for it. That was $100 for the bike. The motor kit comes with the rear, the motor, the double-walled rim, and a crap tire you don't ever want to put on there. So forget that. It comes with your ECU, your electronic control unit. It comes with your display. It comes with your throttle. It comes with the pedal assist, which means if you pedal, it turns the motor on. It comes with the brakes, comes with everything. That's about $230. Okay, and I bought this battery, believe it or not, almost 3 years ago. It's a 20 amp hour battery, 48 volts to run this bike, and it cost me at the time right at $200. They've gone up in price to about $230. So figure for the motor setup and the battery, you're looking at $500. $100 for the bike makes $600, and then you're talking about $120 for tires. So you're looking at about $720. The rack cost me $20, so give or take about $750. That's what it cost. This bike will get 40 miles, between 40 and 50 miles to a charge. The way I ride it, if you pedal, you can get farther. You can get 65, 70 miles if you pedal some and help yourself along. I don't. I use a throttle because I have places to go and businesses to run. So it takes about 6 hours to charge unless you get a fast charger, which I never did because I didn't want to wreck the battery by charging it too fast. And it will do 39 miles per hour, so just under 40 miles an hour when I wanted to. I can get out and play in traffic with this thing if I want to. Most of the time I'm cruising at about 15 to 20 miles per hour, going to work, and I can get between 50, 60 miles without worrying. I can go further. I've only ever in 2.5 years had it die on me twice because I used the entire battery. And when that happens, you can just pedal it home or pedal it somewhere where you can plug it in and charge it again. So that's my bike. That's how it runs. I'm going to put a picture in as well if you haven't seen it already. Just a night version of it with the lights turned on. It's just a basic bike for about $750. And I can tell you that I beat the living shit out of these bikes. Okay, I mean, I just beat them down. My buddy who got me into these bikes, who also has a channel called EB Bike Rides, I see him all the time, and I hadn't seen him in about 4 months. And I ran into him the other day, and he asked me, "Is that the same battery that you bought 2.5 years ago?" And I said, "Yeah, it is." He throttles his full throttle, and he's got a 1500 watt where that's only 1000 watt, and he beats his more than I do. And he can't believe I'm still rocking the same battery and still getting that kind of range out of it, still having no issues with it. He's excited to see the new build. I haven't seen him in the last week or so. Well, the last week or so, because I just changed from this bike frame to that bike frame about a week ago, but I put that motor on this bike 5 weeks ago or something when it shredded. So he wants to see the new step-through model. He's constantly building bikes himself, different shapes, 2-seaters, 3-seaters, dual motors. He's always doing that kind of stuff. So for those of you who wanted to see what my bike was, what it's like to have it, like I said, I put about 1,000 miles a month on it. I do everything with my bike, and I mean everything. So the reason for the fundraiser, if you've lasted this long, is because it's time for me to get a second bike. It's time for me to get I should have had a second bike the whole time, in case of theft, in case of breakdown. I also have learned over the last few years what I like and what I don't like about certain bikes. And I am going with the Lectric, L-E-C-T-R-I-C, Lectric brand 2.0. It's a 20-inch fat tire bike. If you don't know, I'll put a link in the description for it. They're on sale right now for $8.99 plus tax, so it comes out to be about $950. It's a smaller frame, smaller tires, wide tires instead of thin tires. It has different features. It's also a step-through bike. It's a folding bike. There have been times over the past 2.5 years where I've needed to get this bike from one place to another, and we couldn't fit it into my friends' trunks or into their SUVs or whatever, and I've had to actually use my trailer to get it someplace because of its weight and because you can't do anything with it, where the electric bike folds in half. They've been out for years. They are the highest selling bike on the planet. They're the originators. And if you want to know about those, I'll be doing a full review when I get it. I am buying it no matter what. I'm just asking for those of you that want to support me after all these years and help me out, help me get there. It fits all my needs. And it's just as tall. There's no place that sells them locally here in Florida where I live, but obviously every time I see other e-bikers on the road, I stop and talk to them, and I ran into a few people that have had the Lectric brand that I'm buying for the last 6 months or so. I was able to take one for a test drive the other day and see that the handlebars are tall enough, wide enough. I can also put custom handlebars on my high rise if I want. The seats go high enough. The tires are great. Everything that I had questions about buying online were answered just by stopping some locals and talking to them. They test drove mine, which mine goes a lot faster than the Lectric brand. The Lectric only has a 500 watt motor and has a top speed of 28 miles an hour, where I have 1,000 watts and it does 39. And my buddy Blue, EB Bike Rides, he's got a 1,500 watt and he'll do 49 miles an hour. So 50, he'll stick with traffic. So anyway, that's what the fundraiser's for. I need a second bike. It has everything that I want. It has everything that I need. I will never, ever, ever give up my voilamart, which is the brand of the motor, rear hub motorbikes. I rocked this bike for 2.5 years, changed frames. I'm not getting rid of this frame. I'm actually going to sandblast it and give it a custom paint job, change the rack on it, and I'm going to keep it because I do like the bike. I love the bike. It's a Diamondback. It's beautiful. It's a wonderful bike, and it's my first bike. But now I'm on to the step-through model, the same Diamondback, but a step-through. And you can't go wrong. So if you're thinking about buying an e-bike and you want to build it yourself, you can hit me up and I can walk you through it. There's hundreds of videos on YouTube on how to do it. It's the best thing I've ever done. I hate riding in cars anymore. I just love my bike. I love it. And I have had very little issues with it until I got to about 25,000 miles. So if you want to help me out and you made it this far in the video, first of all, subscribe. Second of all, hit the like button. And any dollar that you could give to my fundraiser to help me with my new bike would be great. In the meantime, I hope I answered all the questions that those of you who have sent me emails asking me about my bike have asked. That's it. And I will be rocking this one with a brand new motor on a new frame. As soon as I get the front wheel and tires, I'll be rocking this for another 2 or 3 years and another 25,000 miles. So along with my second bike, we should be good to go. And that video is coming out shortly as well on the Cranbrook. So thanks for stopping by. See you soon.